Hello. In this video, you will learn how to submit your paperwork for review to compliance through command. In order to do that, I've separated the process into 9 steps to make it easier. So let's go ahead and get started. If this is the first time you are going to command, you need to go to agent.kw.com and then you're going to log in using your KW username and password. Once you're there, it's going to open into the home screen and it's going to look just like mine. And the first step that we need to do, you are only going to do one time, and that is to make sure you have your Dotloop connected to your command account. In order to do that, you're going to click on your name, top right corner, and then you're going to click on settings. This is going to open your application connection page in command. And in here, what you want to do is you're going to scroll down and see if you have Dotloop connected. It might take about a minute for Dotloop to actually appear on your screen, so give it a little bit of time, and then if you don't see it, then you need to connect it. If it's connected, you're going to see your email right below the Dotloop name, and then it's going to say connected. If you have the wrong email or the wrong account connected, you can go ahead and disconnect account and connect it again. If you do not have Dotloop already connected, then you're going to scroll up a little bit and you're going to click on Connect More Apps. Once you are here, we're going to look for Dotloop in the search bar, top right corner, Dotloop, and you're going to hit enter. And this will bring Dotloop as an option for you to download into your command account. You're going to click on Dotloop, and for you, it's going to say activate right here. Right? Mine says manage app because I already have it connected, but if you don't, then it's going to say activate right here, and you have to follow the steps to connect Dotloop into your account. It will send a confirmation email to the email you have the Dotloop account with, and you have to confirm that email, and then from there it should connect into your command account. It might take a couple minutes, but it should be a simple process. Just follow the instructions. You want to go back and do the same thing. Just go to your name, settings, and make sure that the connection has been established. So step number 2, you probably already know how to do this, and that is to add a contact. If you don't have the contact already there, and we're talking about your client, right, for this current transaction. If you already have the client, then you can skip this step. If you don't have your client added to your database already, then you want to add your contact. So you're going to click top right corner, add contact, and my client will be Chuck Rausch. Okay, can type say, and I'm actually not going to add him because I already have him, but just showing you how to add a contact. You need to add a full name in here and some sort of contact information, either email or phone number, whatever you guys prefer. Let's say this is Chuck's email. If you're using command as your CRM as well, of course, you are going to make sure that you fill in as much details as you can about your contact. And then you're going to click on create. I'm going to click cancel because I already have this contact. Step number 3, we need to create an opportunity. You can create an opportunity in 2 different ways. One is you can go ahead and search for your contact, open your contact, and on the right side of the contact card, you have opportunities right here. So once you click on opportunities, it will show any previous transactions that you did with this client, and you can go ahead and create opportunity from there, and this will attach the contact automatically to the transaction. This is one way of creating an opportunity. Another way of creating an opportunity, which is the way I'm going to show you today, is you go to opportunities applet, the shaking hands. And once you are in here, if you're in a team, make sure that you guys are starting the transaction in the right place, either in the team or yourself, however you have that set up in the rules that you have in your team. I'm going to do this as my own opportunity, so under my name, and then I'm going to click on create opportunity. Once you do that, this is something you have to be very careful with, and it's the opportunity type. As a default, command will create a listing opportunity. But if you click there, then you'll see that you can choose the type of transaction you're actually doing. So you have listing for listings, buyer for buyers, landlords, and tenant. If you're working with an apartment, then you're going to pick tenant. So make sure that you guys select this correctly, because this is one of the very few things you cannot come back and change. So if you messed up, you will have to archive the opportunity and start all over again. Today we're going to do a listing because this is the most complete example I can do for you. And we're going to pretend Chuck is our seller. So client is going to be Chuck Rausch, and there is no co-seller for the moment. The opportunity name is very important, 9876 Main Street. You need to provide the property address as the name. Remember, if you were working with Dotloop, in order to submit for compliance, your loop needs to be named as the property address, correct? So that's the same thing. We're going to do the same. If you're working with a listing or a lease listing, you already know this whenever you're creating the opportunity. And if you're working with a buyer or a tenant, you will come back later, and before you create your loop that you will see later in the process, you will come back and change it, right? Before creating or starting the transaction, you will change the name of the opportunity to be the property address, and then you can leave the name of the clients as well. So for me, great way of naming opportunities is property address, zip code, and then I do want to keep the name of my client and listing. Okay, I'm going to add an estimated close date for September 17th, commission rate 3%, and opportunity phase and stage. If you're using this at a higher level and you're actually tracking your transactions with command, you will know what to put in here. In order to meet compliance, this will not stop you. So this doesn't affect the way you guys meet compliance. So you can put whatever you want in here if you're not using this to track your transactions. I highly recommend you to start using the system at a higher level though. So I'm going to create it for as an active and negotiations, and then create. So far we've done step number 2, which is add a contact. Step number 3 is to create an opportunity, and we just did that. Step number 4 is to fill in the details. So after you create an opportunity, it automatically opens into the detail page, and you are going to fill whatever information you guys have about this. You can always come back at any point of the transaction and fill in more details. If you're working with a listing or a lease listing, in the property box, you need to provide the property address. And to do that, you're going to click on the little pencil, and you're going to add the property address right here. There is apparently 9876 Main Street. I'm going to use that. Save. Okay. Now, before we continue, I'm going to show you what happens, because most likely you're not going to complete the whole process in one time. So let's say you did all this part and now you have to go. So we're going to close command and we're going to log in again, right? So how do you find this opportunity? You log into command again, you go to opportunities, and then you're going to click on all opportunities, and then you can search your transactions. Hopefully you're going to have hundreds of transactions, so you can take advantage of the filter right here. So all I remember about this transaction is my seller, who was Chuck, right? So I'm going to look for that, contact Chuck, and see what I have with Chuck. So I do have 2 transactions with him, and this is the one we were working today. So I'm going to click on the name, and that will bring me back to the details page. Okay. So step number 5 is to go into the documents tab, right? And that's it. That's step number 5. We are here, and now we're going to start getting into the good stuff. Step number 6 is to pick your checklist type, and this is very important that you select the right type of checklist. So far we've created a listing with my seller Chuck, but now I need to tell the system, yes, this is a listing, but what type of listing? Is it residential or is it commercial, right? So in this case, we're going to do a residential listing, and when you do that, that brings up the checklist for a residential listing. What you're seeing on your screen is actually just a checklist full of placeholders. So each one of these is a placeholder. So it's the house where each document is going to live, right? So this is just a checklist that you can rearrange by requirement. It makes things easier. So you will have all required documents. So no matter what, you need to have all these documents, right? You know these already for your listed folder. Then you have conditional required documents, and you can actually read the condition in here. It makes things so much easier. So let's say you're working with a property built before 1978. You know you're going to need the lead-based payment addendum. In that case, that's a conditional required document, right? So you're going to use the placeholders that are just required for your property. And then you have some optional documents as well in case you might need them. And then you have your under contract folder. So you can see in what folder you are by the color, right? It's going to be blue. With the current folder that you're opening, it's going to be blue. So then in your under contract folder, you will see all the required documents as well. So again, you can rearrange by requirement, and you have some conditional, required, and then some other optional documents. These are just placeholders. Something very important to understand in here is that for listings and listings, you will always see 3 folders: listed, under contract, and closed. The only 2 that Marilyn will review are listed and under contract, right? You cannot send the closed folder for review. She can only have access to your listed and under contract folder. If you're working with a buyer or a tenant, then it's going to be just the under contract folder. You won't even have a listed folder. You will only have under contract and closed, but the one that you will submit for review is just the under contract. So now we're going to go into our step number 7, and we're going to spend some time in this. Now we need to upload the documents, right? So we have the placeholders here, but how do we bring the documents? There are different ways of bringing documents. I'm going to show you all of them, and you're going to use whatever fits for you. The first thing that we need to do is to create our loop from command. Very important. If you do not create or start your loop from command and you do that straight from Dotloop, then there is no way Dotloop and command can communicate. So you need to create your loop from command. Just create it, and then you can continue to work in Dotloop, and that way Dotloop and command will be in synchronization. In order to do that, to create your loop from command, you're going to click on Start Transaction, and then you're going to select Dotloop. Once you do, this little window will pop up, and this is for you to select a template. So if we're doing a listing, you're going to select listing, and this will start your loop with the name of your transaction, and it will bring over all the documents you already know you have in the listed folder in Dotloop. So you might not need all those documents, right? So there's 2 ways of doing this. Some people really like having all those documents, and then whatever you don't use, then you archive before you submit for review. That's one way of doing things. And then the other way of doing things is to start a loop empty, and then you start bringing just the documents you need. I'm going to do the second way because that's how I like doing things. But again, it's totally up to you. You can either select the template right now or just choose Dotloop template without selecting anything, and this will create an empty loop. So I'm going to click right there. And then to access my loop, I'm going to click on Go to Transaction. If you're not logged into Dotloop today, so the same day you're doing this in your computer, then it will ask you to log into your Dotloop account, and it will open and take you right here. So as you can see, this is my regular Dotloop account, right? And a loop was created for me with the name of my opportunity. And then this is exactly the same, guys. This has not changed at all. So in here, you're going to start adding more people if you need to, and then you're going to bring your documents over. For this example, I'm going to show you I'm going to bring 2 documents just to show you how it works. So we're doing a listing, and I'm just going to add my listing agreement and also my IABS. Okay, so I can show you with 2 documents. So right now I'm in Dotloop. I'm bringing 2 of the documents that I need. And let's say I opened my documents, right? Let's say the IABS regularly, as you do in Dotloop. I'm going to autofill this, and let's say it's already signed. Save. I'm going to go back to my loop. Don't share yet. And let's say so my 2 documents are ready. Okay. Once you have everything you need for your listed folder, because that's the folder we're working with right now. Once you have every document, every required document in your listed folder completely signed, like everything is filled out and it's ready, then you're ready to go back to command. And now we need to start bringing the documents to each placeholder. Okay. Now, in order to do that, there are different ways of doing it. And if you're working with something that it's not Dotloop, you can also bring documents in here. And I'm going to show you all the possible ways. So I'm going to go back to my listed folder. That's the one that I was working with. and I need to bring over my exclusive right to sell and my IABS. Now, how do I bring these documents over? You have three options to do it in two different ways. So one way is if you want to do one by one, you can click on add file, and then you have three options. You can either do it manually. So if you have a PDF in your computer, or if you're using another provider that it's not Dotloop and you have the document in your computer, then you can click on manual, and then you can either drag and drop or browse your computer and bring the document over. You can also connect to Dotloop, which is the easiest way to do this. And in order to do that, you just literally, like we're trying to select the exclusive right to sell document into the right placeholder, and I have my document right here. So I'm going to select it and assign, and that's going to bring that document over to this placeholder. And your third option is if in your custom folders, which I'll show you later how to create a custom folders, you have some of these documents, you can bring them over from your custom folder into your placeholder. I'm going to cancel. The easiest and fastest way of doing this is to click right here where it says attach multiple files, because this way you can literally upload everything in one time. I'm going to click there, and as you can see, you have all your required documents in here, and you can just click drag and drop, or you can manually do it or with Dotloop, and it will be way easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm connected with Dotloop, and this is the easiest way. So now I have a drop down menu with all the documents I have in my loop. So exclusive right to sell. Remember, I only added two documents, the exclusive right to sell and the IABS. So look what happens in here. So think that you already have 8 documents in here. So you're going to have a long list, right? But when you start using your documents, now I have to do the IABS, it eliminates the ones that you already used. So it's going to make, whenever you start going down with the documents that you need to put, the list of the documents available, it's going to be shorter every time, because it's going to eliminate the ones you already used. So now I'm going to add my IABS, and you're going to do that with all the required documents, right? So once you're ready, we're going to do this with everything, and then you're going to click on attach. Once you do that, look what happens. So right next to your placeholder name, then you have the actual document right there. This is how you know if it successfully uploaded into the placeholder. Something extremely important to know is that you may not upload a PDF containing multiple files into one placeholder. Each placeholder is designed to be the house for one document, right? So if you received from the other agent a PDF that has the whole contract executed and all the addendums as well, well, you're going to have to split that document, and you're going to upload each document separately into each placeholder. Otherwise, you're going to send this for review, and Marilyn is going to send it back. So you're just going to waste your time. Very important. So once you have this, now we're going to talk about some ifs situations. So what if at this point of a transaction, before you actually hit submit to Market Center, let's say you have all these documents already, and for some reason, this particular transaction that you guys are doing, you need to upload a document that it's not in here, right? There's no placeholder for this very rare addendum that you need to add that is part of the transaction, and it needs to be reviewed, right? So in that case, what you need to do is to add an item, and you have to make sure that you are in the folder where you want to add the item, right? So if I'm in the under contract item and I go under contract folder and I go to the add item button, then this is going to create a placeholder in my under contract folder. So if I want to create something in my listed folder, then I click on listed first, and then I click on add item. Once you do that, you're going to name this addendum 3. You're going to put the right name of the document, right? I don't know what the case might be, but you're going to put the full name of the document in there. Document type, let's say this is an addendum. And then you can bring the document over. So you're going to create the placeholder, and at the same time, you are going to upload the document. Whatever, guys, method you like. So you can bring it manually if you have the PDF saved in your computer, or you can click Dotloop if you have it in your loop and you're going to select the document. So let's say it's one of these documents, and I'm going to click Save. So this will create the placeholder as an additional document with the name that I created the document, and then it's going to have the document uploaded right there. You can add as many items as needed, and this is just going to be used for documents that are part of the transaction that need to be reviewed for compliance that don't have a placeholder already created by the system. Now, I'm going to show you there's something that might happen to you as well, and I'll show you how to go about that. Let's say you finished everything, so you have all the required documents and conditional required that you need, so everything is there, right? So let's say at this point now you are ready to submit for review. Whatever folder is highlighted here, that's the folder that by submitting to Market Center will be sent to Marilyn. So you have to, if you're ready to submit both folders, then you have to do one folder first and then the second one. So you're going to click on listed folder, make sure it's highlighted, and now we're going to submit to Market Center. And it's going to ask you, are you sure you want to submit this for review? Have you attached all documents? Because it needs to be complete, guys, in order for you to actually submit for review. Let's assume yes. We're going to click on submit. So now look what happens. You need to look at the status. It said open before, and now it says submitted. So this is how you know you did it right and you submitted. So now it's on Marilyn's end, right? Now, what if you submitted this and then you went to your under contract folder, you started putting your documents here, and you submit that to your Market Center as well, and you added some items if it was needed. So there's something that might happen to you, and it's only in two different situations that you are allowed to use this, and it's how to add a version of the document, of the transaction. For listings and list listings, let's say you have the listing, and then you get some buyers or tenants, and then for some reason the transaction falls through. So now you still have the listing, you still have your client, seller, or landlord, but now you're going to have a different set of either buyers or tenants, right? So it's the same client, but now it turns into a different transaction. You don't have to start everything all over again. You may still use the same opportunity. What you're going to do in that case is you're going to add a version of this, and that's going to be in your under contract folder. So let's say you submitted your listed folder, that's complete, and now in your under contract folder, it didn't close. Now you have a new set of buyers. What you're going to do is right under the under contract option right here, there's a little arrow. You're going to click in there, and we're going to click on add version. It automatically will be named like under contract version 2. What I would do is add the name of your new buyers for this one. It's going to make it easier to remember what version are you currently using. So let's say now this is buyer Y. Okay, create new version. So now looking here, all the documents that we have in here, the placeholders, are for under contract version 2 buyer Y. If you click on the arrow, you can go back to your under contract folder if you need to review any documents in there, or you can go to your new version with your new set of buyers or tenants if you were working with a leasing, right? And then you will just proceed doing the same. Just upload the documents and submit for review. The other situation where you are allowed to add a version is if you're working with a buyer or a tenant and you guys are under contract, and then for some reason you guys cannot close, but then you're still working with the same buyer or with the same tenant. It's just going to be a different property. You're going to do the same. So under the same opportunity, you're going to add in your under contract folder, you're going to add a new version that will be for your same buyers or tenants, but this one will be for a new property. Okay, so it's a whole new set of documents, so you need to add a version for that. So all this is still step number 7, and we have mixed it up a little bit with steps 8 and 9. So step number 7 is how to upload your documents, start your loop, and how do you bring your documents, which we said you can bring manually from any other provider as long as you have the PDF in your computer, or connect it with Dotloop and you can bring it over from your loop. And as we said before, after you created your loop in command, you are more than welcome to go straight to Dotloop and continue to use your loop from Dotloop. And once you're done with all your documents, then you go back to command and you bring your documents over. So something else that can happen to you is that after you submit it, let's say you're under contract, after you submitted your under contract folder, and I'm gonna just add something real quick in here to show you. So let's say I added a document in here. So now I'm ready to submit to Market Center. So see how it says submitted, the listed folder that we submitted already. So you can check your status. And in here it says open under contract. I have not submitted yet. So I'm going to go ahead and submit to Market Center. Yes. See how it changes, right? This is actually step number 9, which is check your status. And I'll talk about the statuses in a minute. But let's say you submitted this. And then 2 days before closing, your closing date gets pushed back. So now you need to add an amendment to your contract, changing the closing date, right? That's a document that needs to be reviewed as well. But you already submitted this because you did this on time. If you need to add an extra document to this folder, everything you need to do is just add the document, or let's say you forgot or you just realized that one of the documents you put in there was missing a signature. You need to replace the document. Whatever you guys need to do, you can just do it, and you won't have a chance to resubmit, but Marilyn will see it on her end as an updated document. So she will get a notification that you updated your file, and she will review it. So you just have to trust the system. There is no button to send a document after you submit it for review, but she will get it. So if you forgot to do something, you can go back to your folder, whatever folder you need to change, and you're going to make the change that needs to be made, and you just leave it there. No need to add a comment, no need to do anything else, right? You just trust the system. Now, if by any reason you do need to add a comment to Marilyn regarding this folder and this transaction, there's a little option right here, add comment. You're going to tag Marilyn in here. So you're going to hit the add Marilyn O'Neill, and you're going to put add the reply, and she will get that. If she gets back to you, you'll see it here as well, and you'll receive a notification too. So step number 8 is to submit for review, which we already did in the middle of step number 7. And step number 9 is to check your status. So right now you can see how it started being open. Once I submit it, it says submitted. The statuses that you're going to get back once Marilyn review are going to be either approved or missing. If it's approved, you know it's ready. And after that, or before that, you're going to go to offers and commissions. You're going to set up your commission request. And then once accounting has everything, they are going to upload your DA into your closed folder in command. And that's going to happen once this is approved, and then if you go to your offers and commissions, your request is also approved. If you have those 3 things approved, then after that, accounting will upload your DA into your closed folder. And I can show you there's a placeholder for it. For every transaction, there's a closed folder that you don't send to review, but you will have right here the commission disbursement authorization. So this is your CDA. It will be uploaded right here. So this is where you will find it. If the status is actually missing, then you have 2 options. If it only says missing, and then you go through your documents, let's say we're in the listed folder, and Marilyn change your status from submitted to missing. And let's say in here, tax record, I don't have anything, and it says missing, right? That literally means that you are missing this document. The placeholder is empty. You need to upload the tax record right here. Now, it can also be missing, and then right here, like on this section, you will see a little message icon, And then she will, if the document is actually there but you're missing something, then she will be more specific and she will say, hey, paragraph 5, you left without checking a box, or page 2, you're missing a signature, right? So she will let you know what's happening if the document is there. But if there's no document and it's required, she will only put missing, and you have to just upload the document. So those are the things that can happen. And then after you do, she will get the updated version on her end. You will get notifications right here, like this one, commission request has been approved, and or any changes of the status of your transaction. And you will also get an email. And if you have Kelly downloaded in your phones, you'll get a notification as well in there. Now, I want to talk about, before we close this video, there's a question that I get pretty often, and it's a great question, so I really want to go over that question. And it goes about custom folders in Dotloop. Does that connect into command? And the answer is yes. So after you created your transaction, remember we went here, created the transaction in Dotloop. Then once you're in Dotloop, guys, and let's say I just logged into Dotloop, I'm going to show you. So you have all your loops in there, right? This is just regular Dotloop. You created this in command, but this is now Dotloop. So I go to the loop that we were working with. And if I need to add a document and you guys have a custom folder with pre-filled documents in here, like for example, this one, my IABS is a custom folder I have, and it already has my pre-filled IABS, right? So if you do have custom folders in here with custom documents, you definitely have access to all of them, and you can continue to use them. Just remember, you're going to keep using Dotloop the same way. Just whenever the time comes to meet for compliance and send it to review, you're going to go back to command and you're going to upload the documents by attaching multiple files and then connecting to Dotloop, and then you bring over all the documents you have. And that's it, guys. If you have any questions, you can reach out to any staff member. We're here to help you, and we hope this transition goes smoothly.